The promise of the garden. In a small village, nestled between green hills, lived a boy named Arjun. He was 12 years old, with dark, curious eyes and a heart full of dreams. His family, though poor, had always been a close-knit one. Arjun lived with his mother, Meera, and his father, Ravi. They lived in a small, run-down house with a thatched roof that leaked when it rained. The walls were cracked, and the floor was uneven, but they made do with what they had. Arjun's father worked as a laborer in the fields, planting crops, while his mother took care of the household chores. Despite their hard work, they struggled to make ends meet. There were many days when Arjun would sit in the corner of their tiny house, watching his parents work tirelessly, their faces lined with worry, yet always trying to put on a smile for him. Every year, the village held a fair where people from neighboring towns would come to celebrate. Arjun's heart longed for the day when he could buy something special for his parents. But each year, he watched as other children would buy toys or treats for their families, while he could only afford a few sweets to share with his parents. Arjun wanted to help, but he didn't know how. He often asked his father, "Papa, why is it that we have so little?" His father would smile gently and say, "Son, it's not the wealth that matters, but the love and care we share. One day, things will get better." But Arjun couldn't help but feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. He knew his parents worked hard, but no matter how hard they tried, their circumstances never seemed to change. One evening, as Arjun was walking through the village, he noticed something unusual. A neighbor, an elderly woman named Amma, was planting seeds in her garden. The garden was small but full of vibrant flowers, and it seemed to glow with life. Arjun, curious, walked over to her. "Amma, what are you planting?" he asked. Amma looked up from her work, her eyes crinkling with a smile. "I'm planting a garden of hope, child," she said softly. "These flowers may seem small now, but one day, they will bloom and fill the air with beauty." Arjun's heart fluttered. He had always wanted a garden, but his family had no money to buy seeds or plants. Amma, sensing his thoughts, added, "You don't need much to start. Just a little effort, a little care, and a lot of patience. It's the same with everything in life, my dear." Arjun felt a spark of inspiration. He could make a change. He could start small, just like the garden, and maybe, just maybe, he could help his parents. The next morning, Arjun woke up early. He decided to start his own garden, just like Amma's. He went to the village's small marketplace and found a vendor who was selling a few packets of vegetable seeds for a very low price. Arjun didn't have much money, but he was determined. He spent all the money he had saved from doing odd jobs around the village and bought the seeds. When Arjun returned home, he shared his plan with his parents. His mother, though tired, smiled at him with a look of pride in her eyes. "You've always been a hard worker, Arjun. We will support you." His father, Ravi, nodded. "It's a good idea, son. A garden can bring us more than just food, it will bring us hope." With his parents' encouragement, Arjun began planting the seeds in the small plot of land beside their house. Every day after school, he worked on the garden, watering the plants, pulling out weeds, and making sure the soil was rich and healthy. He didn't mind the hard work, it gave him a sense of purpose. Days turned into weeks, and the plants began to sprout. Arjun watched them grow with anticipation, excited by the idea that, one day, they would bear fruit. It wasn't just the promise of food that motivated him, it was the hope that he could change things for his family. Months passed, and the garden flourished. Arjun's hard work had paid off. The vegetables grew bigger, and soon they had more than enough to eat. But something unexpected happened. The garden began to attract the attention of their neighbors. One by one, villagers came to Arjun's garden, amazed by how lush and beautiful it had become. Some offered to buy the vegetables, others wanted to trade goods for them. Arjun's parents, though initially hesitant, saw the opportunity to make a small income. Soon, the garden became more than just a source of food. It became a source of hope for everyone in the village. Arjun's father, who had once felt helpless, now stood proudly, showing off the garden to visitors. His mother smiled as they sold the vegetables, grateful that their hard work was finally paying off. One afternoon, as Arjun was working in the garden, Amma came by again. She looked at the garden and then at Arjun, her eyes filled with pride. "You've done well, child," she said softly. "You've learned the most important lesson in life." Arjun looked up at her, puzzled. "What lesson?" "The lesson that sometimes, the smallest seed can grow into something beautiful, something that can change lives. You've taken responsibility for your family, and in doing so, you've shown that with love, patience, and hard work, anything is possible." Arjun smiled, his heart swelling with emotion. He hadn't just grown a garden, he had grown hope. He had learned that, no matter how difficult life was, there was always something he could do to make things better. That year, the village fair came around again. Arjun stood in front of his small stall at the fair, selling the vegetables from his garden. His parents stood beside him, proud of what he had accomplished. People from the village came by, buying fresh produce and praising the young boy for his hard work. As the sun began to set, Arjun looked at his parents, their faces lit with joy. He realized that it wasn't the money or the things they didn't have that mattered, it was the love they shared and the effort they put into making their lives better. Arjun had kept his promise to himself and his family. He had taken responsibility, not just for the garden, but for the future of his family. And in doing so, he had shown that even in the toughest of times, a little bit of care, hope, and determination could bring light to the darkest of days. The garden, now a symbol of his love and hard work, was no longer just a patch of soil. It was a reminder that no matter how small or humble the beginnings, anything was possible if you took responsibility and cared for what you had. This story teaches the importance of responsibility, hard work, and hope, especially for children whose families may not have much. It shows that with dedication and love, even a small act like growing a garden can make a significant difference in the lives of those around you.